Hello and welcome to Fox Sports Lab AFL round 21. Got the Chief here on our Thursday look at Friday's game to start. The Doggies and the Tigers, Chief. Now, Doggies last week against the Giants outscored them by 32 points of clearances, yet still lost the game. So look at the Tigers midfield here. It's going to be a good battle through there. But are you liking the Tigers or the Doggies in this one?
Well, you're right about last week's game for the Bulldogs. There are a lot of good numbers about their match, but unfortunately they didn't get the job done. I don't know why. I'm actually tipping the Tigers in this one, even though they have a poor record at Marvel Stadium. So Marvel Stadium's not a great venue for the Tigers in terms of wins and losses in recent years. But I like the brand of football they're playing. I think they've got some run and carry back, some good pressure back in the game. They got beaten comfortably by Melbourne last week, but they still scored 100 points. So I like the way they're going about their business.
Well, you say they've scored 100 points, so they lost the inside 50 count to Melbourne by 28.
Yeah.
So their efficiency going forward is...
That's what I'm loving. So every time they go forward, they're looking dangerous. They're finding ways to hit the scoreboard. So I think they're a big chance to upset the Dogs.
All right, now, next game, Essendon and West Coast. We play close as the pin here because the line's 50. So would you take the line thinking it's going to be around the mark, or are you thinking a little bit more of a blowout?
Well, they have got a couple out at the moment, the Bombers, so it's a tough one. West Coast, how will they respond after that win last week? You know, will they carry on? Will they lift, or will they sort of feel comfortable with it and then just come over here and go back to the normal rubbish they were serving up? Hard to say. I think 50 points is around about the mark.
Okay. All right, let's move to the Crows.
Well, you're not giving any opinions today, eh? You're just sitting on the fence.
Yeah, well, I'm a letterbox today. That's what I'll do. No, to be fair, I think I was more looking at a 30, 40-point win. Yeah, so I reckon it's a pretty generous line, to be fair. So if you're keen on West Coast, that's where you should be steering your loot. All right, let's talk about the Crows and the Suns. So good stat for you, Chief. So the Suns have never won at Adelaide Oval. So Adelaide have beaten them, obviously, in the last 5 encounters there, and by an average of 42 points. So do you think it's as one-sided this time round after the great win by Gold Coast against Brisbane last week?
Well, it was a super impressive win, wasn't it? Toppling over the Lions, and they did it comfortably in the end. Tuke Miller makes such a difference to this Gold Coast Suns side. I mean, he's a gun player. He's a gun leader. What he does, I think, is outstanding for that club. So you've got to say they're a chance. They've got their confidence up. They're playing well. But I love the brand of football that Adelaide play, particularly at home. They are a completely different team at the Adelaide Oval to what they have shown us away from home. So you've got to tip the Crows at home.
All right, so you put a line through Geelong, and if if Richmond beat the Bulldogs, Adelaide win, they can jump into the 8. So you didn't have a week ago, you didn't have Adelaide even a contender to come into the 8.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
Is that true?
That is not true, Dicko. I've been keen on Adelaide most of the year. It's just that they keep dropping games away from home. I love the brand of football that they play under Matty Nix.
Okay, so you think they're still destined for a top 8 spot?
No, but I think they're a chance. I like the fact that we've got so many teams still in the running, and I never put a line through Geelong either. You've just decided to wake up this morning and put words in my mouth.
Well, I've got to fire you up somehow. So this game, I'm tipping Crows. You're tipping
Crows.
Crows. Okay. All right. Now our beloved Hawks take on Collingwood after a loss at the MCG. I might be just doing this one at some stage, but they were pulled apart by Carlton last week, and Collingwood. You'd expect the response coming up against our beloved Hawks, but are you thinking this is a flex of the muscles time for Collingwood after, as we said, they lost last week?
Yeah, they got a month to get themselves right to the finals now, Collingwood. They'll be starting to tinker with what their best side looks like, getting the odd player back in. I think they'll win comfortably. That's no disrespect to the Hawks. I like the way the Hawks are going about rebuilding, and they play an exciting brand of footy when they get their running game going. But I don't think Collingwood would allow that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Collingwood. So the Giants in Sydney, Battle of the Bridge.
Massive game.
Huge. Massive. They're 7 in a row, so club record 7 wins. But they are the number 1 pressure team since round 17, the Giants. When they've got the ball, they're doing obviously incredible things. But when they don't have the ball, they're turning up the heat. So Sydney, Buddy's big announcement during the week, the great man's done. So this is for these young forwards and this young team to stand up, especially, and break that run of 7 games.
Yeah, it's going to be a cracking game, isn't it? It's no coincidence, Digger. You look at the 2 teams that are on a roll, which are the Giants and the Carlton. And what are they bringing of late? Pressure.
Yeah.
What it does to the opposition. It takes away their ability to use the ball as well as they'd like. Takes away their time to make decisions. You create turnovers. You create scoring opportunities. The Giants are doing that. They're playing great footy. I think at home they'll be too good for their crosstown rivals. I love the style of football they're playing under Adam Kingsley. Can they get some run into their game and getting some loose players in the forward 50? They love that ball over the top. Opponents don't know what Toby Green's doing at the moment. He's coming up the footy. He's going back with the footy. He's losing them in traffic. He is just mesmerising opponents.
He is. And I'm going with the Giants as well. So I'm going to think they're going to string 8 together and puts them in a pretty handy position. They could jump the Saints to 5th and obviously dominate that bottom half of the 8. North Melbourne and Melbourne, the line's 42.5. So another close as a pin for us in this one. Melbourne sitting in 4th can leapfrog Brisbane depending on what happens in that other game.
Yeah. Down at Blundstone Arena, Melbourne just have to keep taking care of business. It's probably a tough one for them to get fully motivated. I get that, but when you sit there and you think, well, all of a sudden they're not that far off second spot, so keep winning. If Brisbane and Port stumble, well, there's the opportunity, and you perhaps lock in home ground advantage through the finals makes a massive difference.
Yeah, so I'm actually expecting a bit of a blowout in this one because they've opened the offensive side. 42.5 is not enough.
What about Clarko back in control of North, Digger?
Yeah, I'm loving the fact he's back, to be fair. And there might be a little bit of injection of enthusiasm, the fact the great man's come back in. But Melbourne, their offense, like even last week, you touched on it with Richmond. They were phenomenal, 130 points and just 28 plus inside 50s on top of Richmond. So that one's just going to be pretty hard to stop. St Kilda Carlton, this is probably one of my games of the round because I want to see Carlton keep that run continuing. And you think about the last 6 weeks, they're the form team. So they've dominated over 6 weeks and a percentage of 182 in 6 weeks. So their midfield numbers differential 225 points. They're smashing them through the mid. So a lot of things going right apart from Charlie Curnow kicking goals up the field. So they'll take care of the Saints, I would have thought.
Yeah, and the great thing about Carlton now is there's this growing confidence in the group where they just believe that they're finally turned the corner. Things have clicked. They're a good team, and they're showing that every week when they just roll over the top of opposition. St Kilda got a little bit of their game style back last week, which would have been very, very pleasing, albeit at the hands of Hawthorn, who, we can't say are the highest quality opposition. And that's, again, not being disrespectful, but we're trying to line up form lines, whereas you've got Carlton doing some good things against some good teams, but St Kilda have been in a little bit of a rut. They come out of it with a win over the Hawks. I don't think it's a strong enough form line to trouble the Blues, and I'm a bit like you. They're gathering momentum at the right time of the season. I expect them to win.
Is it a false positive having Saints in 5th position?
Well, they've been hanging around there a lot. But teams around them keep losing, but you've got teams on the charge now like the Giants and the Blues. I think we're going to see a little bit of a shake-up in the bottom half of that top 8.
All right, now the final one's Fremantle and Brisbane. So Brisbane on the road, averaging 92 points. So number 1 in the comp on the road in terms of points for. So Lachie Neale against Fremantle, his old team, averages 30-plus disposals. So for the disposal punters out there, there's something there for you. But do you have Brisbane winning on the road?
Yeah, well, I do. But let me ask you something, Diggo. You saw what Tuke Miller did to Lachie Neale last week.
Yep.
What does Justin Longmuir do?
I'd let him go.
Why?
Because I don't think his possessions are as effective, to be fair.
Well, to be fair, look at the impact that it had after Tuke Miller did that job last week on Lachie Neale.
Yeah, I just thought there was other parts of that game.
Yeah. So, well, it's interesting. It's interesting. I think you play the ace while it's there on the table. And that would play in the minds of the Brisbane players. But anyway, I expect them to bounce back. That was a really bad loss last week. And they don't want to jeopardise their top 4 spot with teams starting to chase hard. And they probably still have their eye on a top 2 spot as well. And maybe getting, if they're going to win a flag, you'd think they'd need the Gabba all the way through to the grand final, wouldn't you?
Yeah, 100% they would. I'm tipping Brisbane as well. All right, we're going to finish with the overs and unders. Doesn't have to be either, but I think the overs is Port Adelaide 240 against Geelong. No Hawkins, no Blixards. They're not the form team they were, and that's massive overs for me. What about you?
Similar quote. I think the Tigers are overs. Even though they don't play particularly well at Marvel, I think they're playing some good football at the moment. I like Andrew McQualter. I think he'll cement that job before the season's done, Diggo.
All right. Exclusive from you, Chief.
There you go.
You're up and about. Love it. All right. We'll see you Monday, mate. After round 21, we'll do our review as we always do, and have a great week.
You too, mate.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.